Hey folks, I hope everybody is having a wonderful day today. Welcome to or welcome back to Lone Pine Tarot, and thank you so much for choosing to join me for our pick a card reading today, which, short and sweet, is a good old-fashioned your week ahead. Specifically, we're asking your spirit guides to give you both insights and advice to help you navigate the next 7 days. So with that being said, let us choose our piles. As you can see, I already pre-selected 3 different tarot decks for our pile leaders today, specifically the Ace of Swords from each one. So pile 1 over here on the left, you're choosing with the Ace of Axes, as it's called, from the Mystery Tarot. For pile 2 here in the middle, you have the Ace of Swords from the Wild Reflections Tarot. And last but not least, for pile 3 over here on the right, from the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, you have the Ace of Challenges. So pile 1, Mystery Tarot. Pile 2, Wild Reflections. Pile 3, Forest of Enchantment. Though, as I always say, 100% welcome to pause right here if you need more time to decide on what pile you are drawn to most. I always suggest go with what your gut says. Where is your eye drawn first? What does your intuition say? But whatever your method for choosing, drop down to the description box below when you are ready. Find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our exciting chat from your spirit guides, your week ahead, predictions, guidance, and advice. See you in your readings, everyone. Hello there, my wonderful pile 1. Welcome to your week ahead reading. And as you recall, you were drawn to the Mystery Tarot for your deck of choice today. Now, you must be my fun, adventurous pile because this is like an animated, it's a Gravity Falls deck. So lots of fun. Love using it. Thank you for choosing it. And thank you for joining me today. So with that being said, though, we are going to put the pile leader back into said deck if it's possibly part of your message today. We want it to be part of what might pop out, but we are actually going to start with your oracle cards today. Well, I say oracle cards, but one of the ones I'm using actually is a tarot deck, but most of them are oracle cards. So with that being said, calling on your spirit guides for your highest, best good today. Spirit guides of pile 1. Can you tell me more about their week ahead themes, overall events that might occur, advice you want them to know that's most helpful to their path and their journey? Thank you. Okay, well, very prominently we have one card sticking out, so we're going to take this one, and actually it's the bottom one. Interesting. We'll unveil that in a moment. And then, very fittingly with your Gravity Falls deck, we have a Gravity Falls Oracle deck too, so I like using this one. It's very fun to use with the Mystery Tarot. Alright, there's one card that came flying. We'll take that. And then I feel drawn to this second one. All right, and then next up we have the Ask Your Guides Oracle. Once again, very fitting for a spirit guide reading. I don't know, pile 1. I'm getting an intuitive sense. I haven't even looked at any of your cards yet, but I feel like the week before this one has been quite frustrating for you. I almost wonder if you're going to see a lot of blockages cleared in this next week, but of course we'll see with more details from your cards. But that is the sense I'm getting. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, or there's like a heaviness or like a weight to your stress, like leading into this particular week, like energy from last week coming in. So my condolences if so, pile 1. That's not fun to have a stressful week like that. But I think why that's coming up is because spirit guides are trying to give me a hint that your next week might go a lot better. Might be not necessarily like a smooth week, but in terms of clearing blockages or things that have been frustrating you, it might go better in that way. But let's unveil your cards. I'm curious to see what pops up. So first up, we're going to look at your Divination and your Pastoral Tarot. So the first Divination today is Memory Wiper. No regrets, forgotten past, and scramble. Okay, so that can mean there's some past events from the week before, as I was saying, affecting this week. I mean, that's kind of naturally what happens week to week, right? Something from the past coming up. Something that you thought was going to be more prominent in the week ahead that has been weighing on your mind, but then it kind of turns out that really it doesn't have that much of an effect on the week ahead. We'll keep going. It's kind of the sense I'm seeing, though. Then we have, the past comes up again with Amber Cave. Preserved past, dangerous but beautiful. Would not be shocked if you get the Six of Cups with your tarot cards, because that is the card of the past And your, at least first two oracle cards, have a lot about the past coming up. Interesting. That, or a lot of you have something to do this week with like something from the past cropping up. Like, I don't know if you're meeting family members you haven't seen for a while, or like a family or found family, like a friend that you haven't seen for a while. Or it's very possible too that, I know some of you might even work a job that's like related to the past, or like if you're like looking for a job or you're in an interviewing process, it's like you're interviewing with a company that is like a very old company, something from the past that way. Or it could even be like in the fields of, say, related to history, like archaeology, anthropology, literally history of some sort. I don't know why that theme is coming out exactly, but we do have that very, very shared theme there with the past. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles. Fantastic theme for your week ahead. I will say that does kind of reflect what I was saying before, that I picked up intuitively for you, that I feel like the week leading into this one, up until this point, has been kind of frustrating. Maybe you especially had a really tense week at, say, work or with your family members, friends, etc. But the Nine of Pentacles, my friends, is all about, we have put a lot of hard work into something up until this point, and then as we transition into Nine of Pentacles and energy, it's like, okay, finally we're getting out what we put in. It's getting the fruits of our labor. So whatever's been stressing you out, pile one, whatever has been frustrating you, I promise in this next week ahead, it's going to pay off. It's going to have been worth it, because that's really literally like the theme of the Nine of Pentacles is, all the stuff you've been doing, all the blood, sweat, tears, etc., has been for a reason. And it's a reason of, you're going to extract the value out of whatever this was that you've been looking for, even if it felt really stressful at the time, even if it's been kind of a nose to the grindstone kind of sensation or energy I've been feeling off of your week up until this point, right? The next week, I think, will be a lot better in terms of rewards, is a really good keyword to use. As I said in the very beginning, it might not be necessarily 100% smooth, because sometimes with Nine of Pentacles energy, I do see it as like there's still like maybe kind of like bumps to work out, because it's not quite at that finality of like the 10 of Pentacles, but it'll be a lot better than the week before. I can guarantee you that. So yeah, that's good. Good forecast here. Let's look at your other cards. Then we have Community from your Ask Your Guides Oracle. Number 56 makes me wonder if a lot of your week ahead is related to a community of some sort. Maybe that's where this past thing comes up. It's like a community you were a part of in the past. Maybe returning to a workplace you were at before, or like, as I said, it could be like friend or family related stuff where, you know, a friend group is a community, a family is a community of sorts too. It's like returning back to that in some way. Let's keep going. And then your surrender card today is surrender the idea you can fix someone. And I'll read the text. It says, it's time for a relationship to shift. If it doesn't work to try, it doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. Okay, so that might also be a theme popping up in this week ahead too. You might feel a bit of an inclination to want to fix something for someone, or to fix someone in general. Maybe this is where this past thing is coming up, in which case your spirit guides are giving you a bit of advice here, which we'll explore more in the future as your tarot cards come out too. But at least initially I can tell you this, their advice is, don't try to fix anyone else this week. Okay, try to just focus more on your own work, and focus more on like fixing things that are within your realm of responsibility, okay? Not so much other people's responsibility. Maybe that's also why community came up too, pile one. Maybe you're kind of inclined to want to fix things for other people. Maybe that's been a part of the stress in the week before up until this point. But then it's like this next week is like, okay, now this is a chance for you to not have to fix anyone else's problems. It's for you to focus on your own. Therefore, that kind of makes it smoother or better in a way, right? Let's look at those tarot cards, and then we'll kind of pull the whole theme and glimpse into the week ahead together. So, using the Mystery Tarot, as I said, Gravity Falls deck, love it. One of my favorites. Spirit, can you give us kind of a day-by-day or sort of timeline of their week ahead, as well as glimpses into the advice you have for them? Thank you. What's going on in pile one's life here in the next 7 days? First up, right off the bat, we have, drumroll please, the that's the Four of Pentacles. I was reading it upside down. We have the Four of Pentacles reversed. Okay, that can actually be a pretty good sign. We'll talk about that more in a second as we draw everything together. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. All right, could be a slight difficulty. Let's keep going. Lots of pentacles. It's a very work-focused week, I can tell you that, or career-focused week. Or even if you're retired, pile one, it's something to do with a lot of like your resources and your stability is a major theme in the next week, okay? Then we have the Knight of Wands reversed. Could be lingering energy from the week before. Then we have the Ace of Cups, fantastic card to get. That does mean we're going to see some blessings here in the next week. That might be the energy I was talking about of, you know, kind of struggles from last week and then it kind of smooths a bit more in the coming week, right? And then last but not least, we have the Two of Swords. Okay, so kind of a neutral week. I will say that, pile one. However, I will say this. There's nothing majorly bad occurring in the next week. Not that I can see here. Like, you don't have any, like, upright Five of Pentacles. You don't have any Tower moment or anything like that. So that's a really good sign. As I said, we talked about the Nine of Pentacles as one of your oracle cards. I kind of see that as like the overall theme of the week. As I said, it's a really good week for getting the fruits of your labor. So I do see the struggles and the hard work that you put in to whatever's been kind of stressing you out lately so far is going to have some payoff in this next week. As I said, lots of pentacles have come out. It's a very career job focused week, as I mentioned as I was pulling the cards out. You do have a lot of advice. So that's why I kind of said it's sort of a neutral week. And it's one of those weeks where I feel like how well it goes really depends on you and how you take your spirit guide's advice into account and how everything goes along. Okay, so right off the bat, the Four of Pentacles reversed in the very beginning of the week. That can represent, say, like a Monday, or, I mean, my readings are timeless, so I guess whatever is kind of like the beginning of the next 7 days ahead of you, no matter what day it is. But if you're watching this on the Sunday it's uploadable, just call it Monday, right? First day, the Four of Pentacles reversed can represent a time when something is finally released to us, especially in terms of finances and resources, because it is a Pentacles card, right? It's a card of something has been kind of held onto for a long time, and then by the reversal of its energy, that resource or that abundance is let go of. Okay, so that can mean like maybe some of your frustrations leading into this week were finances or money, like were not being released in a timely manner. Maybe some of that has caused some of your frustration in terms of, say, you were waiting for a payment to come through, or you were waiting to get paid for something, or you were waiting for like an approval on a loan, or like waiting for feedback from like an interview or something if you're in a job search. That can mean very early in the week that you have that finally released. So that, I think, will cause some of the relief of that stress that you've had up until this week, especially from the last week into this one, is, okay, finally I don't have to worry about that thing being restricted from me anymore. So we see that opening. It's like an open door in terms of career and finances in the very beginning. Then we lead into the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Now, Ten of Pentacles reversed is kind of a neutral card sometimes. I kind of see it more as an advice card, especially leading into like the second to third day of your week ahead. Ten of Pentacles reversed can mean, especially if you do see like there's some family related stuff coming up, as I said before, with all the past themes coming up and the community theme coming up. If that is family for you, then especially I think that's around the time of the week where this family stuff will pop up, because Ten of Pentacles can be a family card because it's about inheritance and it's about legacy. It's about things that are passed down. However, pile one reverse, the Ten of Pentacles can mean that we are supposed to inherit something from someone, or like something was supposed to kind of like make progress in terms of being passed down in terms of like, you know, family inheritance, even sometimes like career and job too, because it's still a Pentacles card. And there's a little bit of a blockage there. Okay, that's why the Ten of Pentacles is reversed. I think that's kind of what you'll be working on between like the second to third, maybe fourth day of this week ahead, especially connected to the Knight of Wands reversed as the heart of the matter. I kind of see that as just like the Nine of Pentacles, an overall theme of the week. Okay, and a Knight of Wands reversed. And for some reason, this has been popping up in my readings a lot lately. I don't know if collectively we all have like a lot of like Nine of Wands reversed energy, but the Knight of Wands reversed is all about, I have a passion or an ambition for something, but I'm finding difficulty in terms of taking action upon that thing that I am ambitious or passionate about, okay? In terms of advice, I think what your spirit guides are saying, because of those two cards together, is if you're finding issues when it comes to, say, family this coming week, or inheritance or things being passed down, or sometimes the Ten of Pentacles can also mean satisfaction or completion with career or money related things, because as I said before, tens in tarot tend to be like, it's like the end cap to a chapter in terms of that area of your life, hence, career, finances, etc. If you're finding difficulty with that this week, especially towards the beginning, your advice with the Knight of Wands reversed is do not be afraid to take more action when it comes to your ambitions, when it comes to your passions, also your creativity. That's another key word with the Knight of Wands I forgot to mention before. Creativity is another really common energy of the Knight of Wands because he's a fire card, right? And so don't be afraid to try to think of creative ways around this problem with family or around this problem with whatever the Ten of Pentacles energy is referring to. You'll probably know that better than me because you know your life more than I do, pile one. But and don't be afraid to express what it is that you're passionate about or what you're ambitious about, okay? Another thing is a Knight of Wands reversed can be also an encouragement of coming off as more confident about things. Even if you don't feel it, you can just fake it till you make it, to use the common phrase. Try to come off as confident with your actions in this area. Even if you don't necessarily find that the blockage is completely fixed this week, because as I said in the very beginning, although this is a week of like a lot of resolution with what has been the frustration in the past up until this point and the stress, it's kind of a week of like smoothing out the bumps, and therefore inherently like doesn't mean it's going to be like 100% smooth, but it can go a lot smoother if you're taking that advice into account with the Knight of Wands reverse. So just act with confidence, take action towards what makes you feel passionate, what are you ambitious about, take action where your creative mind leads you especially. So that will help you through that kind of early week struggle, okay? And then we actually have some really good news coming up too. This is where it kind of leans more into positivity. I would say this is around maybe the 4th to 5th, 6th day of the week ahead. We have the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups is a really good sign, pile one. It's all about new beginnings with relationships. So it can even mean that some of that struggle that you're anticipating with either family or relationships, potentially at work because of Pentacles being so prominent, right? Actually like might feel like a renewal. It might kind of see like a new chapter within your life with these relationships. It can also mean meeting someone new that's important or that you like, and I can mean that in many different ways. Romantic, platonic, familial, I guess you already kind of know. You don't really meet new people in your family. Well, I guess you can if they're extended family, right? Maybe it's a family reunion coming up and you meet someone at that family reunion who is someone you really click with, someone you get along with. But even if it's not family, pile one, it can mean a work relationship, a friend, platonic, and I said too, romantic, right? It is February at the time this is uploaded, so love is in the air, right? But no matter what time of year you watch this reading, I do see that. And even if it's not a relationship, pile one, the Ace of Cups can also represent, say, like a blessing of sorts too, reinvigorated energy too, especially in the realms of our emotion and our heart, or emotions, sorry, plural, and our heart, because it is a water sign card. It's all about our relationships, our connections, and our feelings, our heart, and those things. So I do see kind of maybe a surge of more energy kind of towards the end of the week there because of that Ace of Cups. So just really good things coming forward. A lot of emotional and relationship fruitfulness towards the end of the week. And then finally, we have kind of another neutral advice card. Because at the very end of the week, we have the Two of Swords reversed. Okay? And the Two of Swords reversed can represent a time where we feel incredibly indecisive is the main keyword. It can mean we're addressed or confronted, I should say, maybe is a better word, with a dilemma of some sort. It can mean that we are dealing with a big decision and we're not really sure which direction to take, in which case I do want to draw extra advice cards for you on that final decision here, because I want to help you both as a tarot reader, and I'm kind of feeling this from your spirit guides too, to help you like navigate that decision, because that might help you move out of that reversed Two of Swords energy and more into, okay, now I can finally decide what I want to do. You might even kind of know where this, like what decision is coming up, and maybe you're already in that kind of that mire of indecision, pile one, and maybe you're already kind of biting your nails about it. So I think if I were sitting in your position, that's what I would want advice on most for the week ahead. So we will draw a card or two on advice for that decision. However, I am feeling, because of the prominence of the past themes, especially with your divination oracle cards you got, the memory wiper and the amber cave both mention the past, right? you might be nudged in the direction by your spirit guides to choose whatever path represents the past. Now, that's kind of a nebulous piece of advice. It's really going to differ depending on all of your different specific and, situations and what's going on, but I feel like the past is where you might be inclined to take that decision. But as I said, we'll draw some extra advice cards. So I do want to kind of maybe just cap off the reading with that. So spirit guides for pile 1. Can you tell me more about this decision? What advice do you have for them with this decision? Can you give me maybe 2 cards? Thank you. Towards the end of their week. All right, number 1, we have the 7 of Pentacles, which is interesting because that's actually a card of starting new things. It's about planting new seeds for things, especially in the realms of career and finance. So we have another Pentacles card came up. And then we have the Dipper, which is the Magician in most decks, which is manifestation. So I feel like you might be inclined. It's interesting because literally I was like, well, I feel like you might be pushed towards the past. And then literally like the 2 advice cards with this decision are about the future. Because especially the 7 of Pentacles, because as I said, it's like planting seeds for the future for something new to grow. And then the Dipper / the Magician is all about, I gather my resources I need to start something new or to manifest something. So I feel like it's odd. I feel like the decision is your spirit guides are advising you in the direction that is not only about like returning to the past in some way or preserving the past in some way. And maybe that's what it is, because the memory wiper in Gravity Falls literally erases the past, hence it's a memory wiper, right? But then also the Amber Cave in Gravity Falls preserves the past. So we're stuck between, do I get rid of the past or do I preserve it, right? And then your advice cards are about planting new seeds, starting a new thing, and manifesting. Oh man, this one's throwing me for a little bit of a loop. I'm going to draw just 1 more card. I typically don't draw more maybe than like 2 with advice cards, but let's see. All right, spirit guides. You're telling me about the past and the future. What is this? It's kind of inconclusive here. I don't know. I'm feeling drawn to the last card. We have the Moon reversed, breaking illusions. There's an aspect here with this decision too where something isn't what it seems. I think it's one of those situations where you think it's something new, but it's really you're being encouraged towards something that it's more a return to the past than you think it is. It's really odd. Some of you, feel free to weigh down in the comments below if you recognize what this is, because this is throwing me for a little bit for a loop as the tarot reader, but it's this weird dichotomy of like, it's a new path you're being encouraged towards with this decision with the 7 of Pentacles. And they're encouraging you to like gather your resources, gather your materials to manifest something. But it's deceptive, not in a bad way, but deceptive because really it's a return to the past in some way, but it feels like it's new. It's really odd. I don't know. I'm really curious. If you know what this is, pile 1, please comment down below. I want to know. I'm like, what is this? Because it's the new and it's the old. You think it's new, but really it's returning to the way things were. Okay. But that is the direction they're encouraging you to go into. Something that feels new, but actually it's old. Is what I would say in terms of that decision. However that might apply to you. Okay. So just remember, advice for this week. Don't be afraid to take action with confidence. Take action with your creativity and your charisma and towards your ambitions and your passions. Might be a little bit of a bump in terms of family or things being inherited, so to speak, with career finances this week, but I do see things releasing for you, especially at the beginning, and also blessings coming towards the end. Might be a big decision at the end, but as we said, we discussed the advice from your spirit guides, so hopefully that decision towards the end of the week will be a bit easier for you to navigate based on what we've said there. And in general, too, just remember, focus on community. Focus on, one of your surrender cards here. It says, surrender the idea that you can fix someone. Don't fix other people this week. Focus on your own problems, right? Focus on fixing your own stuff. And then, too, just remember it's a really good week in terms of reaping the fruits of your labor based on the struggles you've had up until this point. So as I said, it's kind of a neutral week, pile 1, but really there are a lot of blessings flowing from this week. especially because, towards the end you have that Ace of Cups. But in general, as long as you kind of are careful about the way you navigate it, I do see it as actually a very positive week, not just neutral. All right. So there you go. Looks like a pretty good forecast, right? I hope that reading was helpful for you, Pile 1. I hope that it resonated. I hope that you liked it. If so, you know the YouTube drill. You know the YouTube spiel. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day and your week, too, right? And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 1. Hi there, Pile number 2. Welcome to your week ahead reading. And of course, as you recall, your tarot deck of choice today was the beautiful Wild Reflections Tarot, one of my favorite. Of course, totally not biased just because, tons of pine trees on the back of the card, but it is very gorgeous. So, as we always do when we choose with tarot decks, though, I like to put the main one right back into the deck so it's available for the message if need be. But we're actually going to start with our oracle cards today. And when I say oracle cards, actually one of them is a tarot deck, but I use it as an oracle deck, so that's how it works. But without further ado, calling on your spirit guides. Spirit guides of Pile 2. We want to have a glimpse into their next week, their next 7 days, week ahead, etc. Can you tell us more about the theme of this week, things you want them to look out for, blessings, advice, insights, whatever is most helpful for Pile 2 for their highest best good to know? Thank you. Okay, I'm feeling drawn to that one. And then we have our little divination oracle. Okay, there's card number 1, card number 2. Then we have the, very fittingly for a spirit guide reading, right? Ask your guides, oracle. And I feel like Pile 2, intuitively, as I'm drawing your cards, the phrase coming to mind for me from your spirit guides is a breath of fresh air as your week ahead. So we'll keep that in mind, but that is like the main kind of phrase, at least, that's coming forward, a breath of fresh air. So I almost wonder if there's a lot of like newness in the week ahead for you, because when we think of a breath of fresh air, we think of like, oh, okay, things have been stagnant for a while, things have been stale, but then we get a breath of fresh air and it feels as if, okay, things have been renewed. It's very and it's odd. At the time I'm uploading this reading, it'll be February of 2026, but of course my readings are always timeless, so you can watch this no matter what time of year it is. But when I say breath of fresh air too, I kind of get the feeling of spring out of it. Very fitting for, if you do watch this when it's uploaded in February 2026. But no matter what time of year, it's like the feeling of spring kind of distilled into 1 week is what I'm sensing. But let's look at your cards. We'll see, of course, more details. See if I was spot on with the intuition. So first, let's look at your pastoral tarot, using it as an oracle card. Drum roll, we have the 5 of Wands. We have, it looks like 5 goats. They're butting heads. So that can mean, Pile 2, that some of the theme of the week ahead is related to, and at first you might kind of squint your eyes. You might kind of be like, oh, I don't know if I like that, but just hear me out. The 5 of Wands is often about competition. However, unlike the 5 of Swords, which tends to be more like harsh conflict, right? At least in my my personal interpretation, I should say. The 5 of Wands is more lighthearted. So I almost wonder if some of you do have like a literal competition coming up this week, or something along the lines of like you are in a situation where you're kind of like competing with other people, or you are being like compared to other people in some way, or you're maybe anticipating that there might be butting of heads too, because that's another aspect of the 5 of Wands, is the feeling of egos clashing. Now that sounds kind of nasty, right? But really when I say egos clashing, it can be more like minor disputes in terms of, like say there's a situation at work where, you're trying to decide on the direction of a project, right? And like one person wants to go this way with it and this person wants to go this way with it. So we do have kind of a conflict in this week, but I don't see it as like a heavy conflict. But of course, we'll see with your other cards what's going on. Oftentimes the 5 of Wands is just, it's not a bad card, it's more just neutral. Okay, it really depends on the things around it. So let's see what else pops out. We have Mabel. So of course, this is a Gravity Falls deck. Some of you probably haven't seen the show, right? But Mabel, very creative character, as it says with her keywords. boundless imagination, romantic, energetic. Okay, so kind of the breath of fresh air feeling I was talking about. That's very spring energy. It's like something kind of new, something kind of exciting too. So lots of activity this week, I feel like, for you as well. Let's keep going. And then we have, which this is one of those cards, if you haven't seen the show, you're like, what the heck? It's Schmebulok, it's a gnome. Well, the keywords are really weird too. It just is his name repeated 3 times. But I interpret that as a tarot reader as like things might kind of feel wild too. Things might kind of feel nonsensical. I don't get a bad feeling out of this week for you though. I know what I've said so far, you might kind of be like, oh, this is a weird week. And it might kind of be a weird week. You might get like a curveball or two, but I don't know. It feels exciting in like a happy way, as I was saying with that breath of fresh air phrase that came out. So, I'm really curious. You have a fun kind of reading so far today, Pile, too. Feels like a fun week, too. Some of you might be doing something kind of fun. Like, I don't know if you're going out on, like, an outing somewhere. For some reason, I'm hearing, like, oh, God, it really depends on what time of year it is for you in terms of seasons. But I'm hearing, like, theme park for some reason. I know sometimes they're, like, indoors, too. So it doesn't matter, I guess, for some of you. If it's like an indoor thing, but I don't know. It's kind of a roller coaster week in a fun way. Let's keep going. From your Ask Your Guides Oracle, we have Unconditional Love. We kind of have a group theme here too. Number 22 from Teacher Guides. Okay, that might be some advice for this week ahead. We'll talk about that more in a moment. And then from the Surrender deck, we have Surrender Obsessive Thinking. If you're obsessing about a person or situation, turn the dilemma over to Spirit. Doing so will help bring you clarity or even solve the problem. Okay, might also be another piece of advice for the week ahead, Pile 2. We might have a little bit of an issue in the coming week in terms of, as it says, like having obsessive thinking over something. Maybe you've been kind of worrying or ruminating over things. Maybe it's kind of related to that 5 of Wands competition, butting heads energy. Maybe you kind of ruminate over the, even if it feels like a lighthearted argument, you might still kind of ruminate over it a little bit. You might kind of worry, or you're kind of, you have like worrywart thinking regarding like, if it is like a literal competition coming up, maybe that's kind of also where this obsessive thinking stems from. So it's like your spirit guide's kind of saying, don't worry about it, Pile 2. Okay, it feels like a roller coaster. It might feel intimidating. However, I think with this card having coming up, it's almost kind of like your spirit guide saying it's going to go a lot better than you think it will. But now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. We will talk about unconditional love in a moment more. I just want to see what your tarot cards say before I say like conclusively, like tying everything together, of course. So spirit guides of Pile 2, can we, with the Wild Reflections Tarot today, look to their week as like a timeline. Can you give me 5 cards for that, please? Thank you. A timeline of their week ahead. Especially with this butting heads competition and the weird Schmebulok card. I don't know. I feel like at the end of this week, you're going to kind of laugh, Pile 2. That's why I get that lighthearted feeling. You're going to be like, well, that was a wild ride, but that was fun. All right, let's see. We have the Hierophant reversed as your first card. Okay, yes, that is actually very similar to what I was saying before, Pile 2. Like I was like, I feel like there's a breath of fresh air. I feel like there's new energy coming in. And then bam, first card you get is the card of breaking what has been a pattern, or what is breaking, like has been tradition. So yes, you have new energy this week. There's new things coming in. Especially a good sign if maybe things have been stagnant and you've been hoping for new energy, right? Some of you, that might be like a really good sign hearing that. So, and then the next card we have is the 2 of Wands reversed. Okay, can be a bit of advice. We'll talk about that more in a second. Then we have the Ace of Wands reversed. Okay, can also be a piece of advice, especially reversed, right? But look at that. That's that spring I was telling you about. It's like new things growing. Especially, it almost looks like cherry blossoms, which of course are associated with spring, right? Very beautiful. Love cherry blossoms. Okay, and then your 4th card this week is the Knight of Wands reversed. I swear to God, I was just telling Pile 1 about this. That Knight of Wands reversed has been coming up in a lot of readings lately on my channel. I don't know if collectively we're all going through like, oh, excuse me, there I go hitting my candle. I don't know if collectively like we're going through like a lot of like collective Knight of Wands reversed energy. I don't know. It's like a lot of blockages regarding our creativity, or like blockages with like what we're passionate about or our ambitions. I don't know. It's that card that kind of keeps ghosting my readings or haunting. And then we have beautiful. Okay, very, very good end to your week. I can guarantee that. You have the 6 of Wands, Pile 2. Beautiful. Okay. So, overall impressions from what has just popped out. kind of a neutral week. You're kind of like pile one today that way. Nothing overly bad, as I was saying. With everything coming out before, you might have kind of been biting your nails, been like, oh, I don't know about that Five of Wands energy or that conflict, competition, or whatever. But as these tarot cards came out, I can see and just reconfirm to you, it's not a bad week. It's more neutral, leaning, especially towards the end of the week, really good, because you have the Six of Wands at the end, okay? Other overall impressions is, yes, that new energy I was talking about definitely coming in, especially that Hierophant reverse that popped out. Makes total sense. That's the card of breaking traditions and patterns that have been kind of maybe stagnant for a while. Can also represent authority in a bad way, or like authority that's been failing us. Maybe that pattern breaks too. So let's just go kind of one by one. So speaking of the Hierophant, let's keep expanding on that. The very beginning of your week ahead, pile two. Hierophant reversed, as I said, is that new energy coming in. I feel like the very beginning of your week ahead is going to be some sort of tradition broken. It can also be some old pattern or stagnant energy that's been kind of, stale and sitting around. You've been maybe wanting to kind of see movement in that area. Very beginning of the week, boom, that thing moves ahead. The pattern breaks. Tradition goes out the window. Now we see new energy coming in. Okay. Same thing too, like if it is technically like an authority figure related thing, because sometimes that's what the Hierophant represents too. It can mean that maybe that pattern breaking is like, I feel like one of my recent readings, this was a prediction where it's like a bad manager being let go or some bad authority figure kind of being let go. Maybe that happens like bam, right in the beginning of the week. So that is, I think for some of you, that might be the interpretation. But overall, I think in general, just something new is coming in the beginning of the week. All right. And then we get into some of the advice cards. So a lot of the middle, towards the beginning and towards the end of the week is going to be neutral. Really depends on how you navigate it and how you take into account the advice from your spirit guides in this reading. So let's delve into that advice right now. So the very first card of advice here from the Two of Wands reversed is going to be kind of maybe to the second to third day of your week ahead. Two of Wands reversed can mean we're having some issues when it comes to setting our plans, okay? It can mean we have an idea for the future, but we kind of feel as if it's hard to really make concrete plans. We don't really know how to figure or plot from like A to Z, or sometimes it's not so much that we're having a struggle with it, it's that we just don't even really anticipate that we need to make a plan for something. So if there's one piece of advice for the beginning of the week especially, it's plan for the future where you can, okay? Plan for the future where you can. I think, and this is leading into the Ace of Wands reversed as your next card, which is also the heart of the matter. I kind of see that as the overall theme of the week too, right? In my traditional structure of 5-card spread. The heart of the matter can represent here with the Ace of Wands reversed that maybe the lack of planning is actually related to like a lack of passion or a lack of spark for something. Because the Ace of Wands is new energy in terms of what am I passionate about? What is my creativity about? Or what am I being creative for? Or what am I ambitious about too? It's kind of our what makes us feel alive. It's like our soul, our energy, our willpower too. And so that being next to the Two of Wands reversed can mean we're not planning because we're just not really enthusiastic about something. So to combine those together, I guess just to say succinctly, pile two, is even with things you don't feel passionate about in the week ahead, especially in the, early to middle of the week, plan anyways, even if it's like the most draining, boring thing. Even if you're kind of like, oh man, this is the most unenthusiastic I've ever been in my life to plan for something, plan it anyways, whatever it is. Because in this case, with the Two of Wands reversed having popped out, planning better or planning more is much more so in your interest, okay? Because I promise you by the end of the week, things will get more exciting. Beginning of the week might be kind of boring, like, I don't know, not really passionate, meh. It's kind of meh, right? But things pick up towards the end of the week. And remember those excitement cards you had with Schmebulock and Mabel, right? Kind of feels like a roller coaster. So it's like the beginning of the week is the bottom of the roller coaster, and then towards the middle it's like, boom, things get more exciting. That's kind of what I was feeling, I think. Okay. It does start there with the seeds of it because of the Hierophant reversed in the very beginning, that new energy, but then after that kind of slumpy midweek, then boom, we have the end of the week, which goes into the Six of Wands eventually. There is a little piece of advice here, though, towards the end of the week with the Knight of Wands reversed. That's that card that keeps haunting a lot of our collective readings, or all of our readings collectively lately. So everyone's struggling with this, I promise. But in general, the Knight of Wands reversed can be a piece of advice that because maybe we're lacking this energy, we might hesitate to take action on those plans as well. in combination with the other cards that you have. In general, though, it's also an encouragement to take more action when it comes to the things that we are ambitious about, that we're passionate about, that we are actions regarding creativity as well. Okay, so you might find some creative blocks this week a little bit too. It's just one of those weeks where you might just kind of have to slog through it, unfortunately. But it's like I said, too, it's not any majorly bad thing, though. Okay, it's just that, meh. But then it pays off, I promise you. Because look at that very end here. We have the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands, my friends, pile 2, is all about victory with something. You're going to have some sort of major victory at the end of the week. So I promise you, just like the roller coaster, it's going to be at the bottom for a bit. Right, you have a little nice hill here. Let me go to the bottom. Meh. Lacking energy. Then boom. At the very end of the week, we were victorious with something. Okay, I'm actually, pile 1, I drew an extra card on their final card too, or extra 2 cards it was, or 3, sorry. Because like they needed advice for something. But I think what I'm going to do for you, pile 2, is I want to draw 2 cards explaining what this victory is all about. Because some of you might not really anticipate what it is. Some of you might kind of know what it is. Maybe it's victory with this competition we were talking about before. That's very possible. But I just kind of want to see for you, because I think that might help you get through kind of the slog of the beginning or the mid of the week, is knowing, hey, that nice thing's coming at the very end. So let's look at that. Spirit guides for pile 2. Can you tell me more about what this victory entails? Like, what is that all about? What's the victory for? All right, we already have 1 card that's like stabbing my hand, so we'll take it. We have the 3 of Cups. It's something to do with a group of people. And I wondered that too with unconditional love. You can kind of see there's 3 figures here in unconditional love. And there's 3 figures here in the 3 of Cups. So, it's odd because there's competition this week, pile 2, because of the 5 of Wands being a theme. But I feel like it turns really positive by the end of the week. I feel like maybe you're anticipating that people in this, if it's like a literal competition with other people, you're anticipating that other people might be more mean. But it's actually, you find that you click with them a lot better than you thought you would. I'm hearing that too, especially because of the unconditional love card, which is, I said I would bring up later, right? And that's kind of what now is prominently coming forward intuitively, is that the unconditional love card is all about we find that we're in a place of more unconditional love than we thought we would be. Maybe you're afraid people are going to be more judgmental than they actually are. And then you get there and then you meet these people and you're like, oh, actually, they're kind of nice. I kind of click with these people really well compared to what I thought was going to happen, right? So that's maybe some of the obsessive thinking too. Maybe you kind of feared, oh God, am I going to, these people going to be judgmental? I'm trying to say it the best way I can on YouTube without swearing too much. Are they going to be judgmental? We'll just say assholes. I'll just say it. I get 1 swear word per video. I allow myself. So, but you find when you get there, you're like, well, actually, they're nice. They accept me. I click with this group, right? Let's take the second card though. And then we have the 4 of Pentacles reversed. Another card that's been in a lot of readings lately. Pile 1 got this one too. But 4 of Pentacles reversed, I'll tell you the same thing I told Pile 1. That's a card of something being finally released in terms of resources or stability or finances or career. Okay, so what that means, Pile 2, is that this victory is something to do with a group of people and the release of resources or generosity with something. Okay, so it's a victory in that way towards the end of the week. So, beautiful. Let me look over and make sure I didn't miss anything. I actually, you know what, pile 2? I'm going to spoil you extra today. I'm going to do 1 card of clarity on the Shmebulat card. I felt intuitively that it was kind of representative of it being kind of like a whimsical week in terms of that roller coaster, but we'll draw just 1 more. It's like the card, it's like the wild card. It's random, something random. So I want to know, okay, this one's very prominent, so we'll take it. We have the Devil. What a twist. The Devil is usually kind of a negative card. It usually means we're kind of trapped with something. Or we feel as if we're stuck with something, or there's a bad habit that we have. Oh, I have to draw another clarity on that one. Spirit, can you give me a clarity on the Devil too with Shmebulat? What a plot twist. And then we have the Page of Cups, which is someone who's exploring a relationship or their emotions surrounding something. Pile 2, I almost wonder if recently there's a relationship where you felt kind of that same stagnant energy, or you felt like it, kind of trapped in some way in that relationship. It's very possible that it's I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean like feeling trapped as if like, you know, like, oh, I'm stuck with this person, like literally physically. I mean, some of you that might be the way that it manifests, but for some of you, it might also be like a feeling of stuck in terms of, like there's like an argument you can't really get past. Maybe that's that Five of Wands energy of butting heads. What this is basically saying is that wherever you feel stuck in a relationship, okay, where you feel kind of stuck, especially in terms of the realm of the heart or relationships, because that's what the Page of Cups looks, or it's like his reign, he overlooks that area of life, right? There's going to be something wild and random that happens that brings that progress in this area, because we have this feeling of being trapped, right, with the devil, but then the Page of Cups comes out and he's someone who is free. He's someone who is exploring something, okay, new things, especially in terms of what's going on. So maybe that's part of the pattern that breaks in the very beginning with the Hierophant reversed we talked about. It's like the tradition of something always feeling like it was, you know, trapping you, or it felt like it was too restrictive or too controlling, or it was like a bad habit. Finally, that wild thing happens, that Shmebulok kind of roller coaster thing, and then you have more room to actually explore things either in relationships or with your heart in some way with that Page of Cups energy, okay? So it's actually a positive thing. Yeah, the devil threw me for a loop because I was like, well, that's weird. What would be a wild card regarding the card of control or like bad habits or patterns or right? But then the Page of Cups made it make more sense. It was like, oh, okay, we're being freed from something with the heart or our emotions or a relationship. So expect that wild card. Okay. Interesting. What a cool week, though. As I said, seems kind of neutral at first, especially that middle slog, but then things really pick up towards the end of the week. Do expect some wild turns, though, but just know by the end of the week, everything's going to turn out okay because of that, especially that Six of Wands at the very end. And I think that's why, once again, you were reminded not to delve into obsessive thinking too much, because I think, you know, you might be the kind of person where a roller coaster week might make you kind of nervous. I'm with you, pile two. A roller coaster week would make me feel kind of like, uh-oh, there's wild cards going on. What's going on? Like, what curveball am I going to be thrown this time? But it's like your spirit guide saying, don't obsessively think over it. Just kind of go with the flow. See how things go. See how things open up. You know, just remember those pieces of advice with plan. Try to get through things even if you don't feel a spark for them, right? And then you'll be rewarded in the end with that Six of Wands victory, especially with a group of people, and maybe like the release or generosity of something, or maybe the group of people are generous to you too. That can be that Four of Pentacles reversed with this Three of Cups combined, okay? Okay. So expect those good things, pile two, with a few curveballs, but good ones. It'll turn out okay in the end, I promise, okay? So that was your week ahead reading this week, pile two. I hope, of course, most of all, it helped you. You liked it. It resonated, all that good stuff. And if so, you know the whole YouTube drill. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day and week ahead, right? And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, pile two. Hi there, pile number 3. Welcome to your week ahead reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the Forest of Enchantment Tarot and the White Raven for your pile leader / deck today. Now, as we always do with pile leaders that are drawn from a tarot deck, we're going to put it right back into said deck for its availability, if need be, for your message. But actually, we're going to start with your oracle decks today. So, calling on spirit guides for pile 3. We want to know more about their week ahead. Can you tell us more about that? Themes, insights, blessings, advice, things to look out for, whatnot. For their highest, best good. Thank you. All right, this one is quite prominent. Feeling drawn to this one, so we'll take it. And another thing I was kind of came to my mind intuitively, pile 3, as I was looking at your pile leader before I started recording. I feel like this week, I could be wrong, we'll see what your cards say, but I feel like this week ahead is going to be a bit quieter than past weeks. Quiet was like the main keyword coming forward intuitively. I don't know why. We'll probably see with your other cards why that is, or what's the energy surrounding that, but I don't know. I feel like, I mean, maybe things have been kind of wild and chaotic up until this point, and then it's like this week finally things slow down and it's more kind of a neutral or calm week. We'll see, but That is what my intuitive sense was, so we will see. Okay, and then next we have the, fittingly, because we're asking your spirit guides today, we have the Ask Your Guides Oracle. More about your week ahead. Oh, definitely that one. Okay. And then just one more. Thank you for your patience, pile 3, as I draw everything. Definitely that one. Okay, and then let's unveil everything together. So, drum roll, please. Let's start actually with, well, it is a tarot deck, but I use it as an oracle deck. We have your Pastoral Tarot, the 3 of Wands. Beautiful. So the 3 of Wands, my friends, often represents a time in our life when we have made plans for something, and then finally we have the ability, or there's a gateway of some sort, a door opening, for us to actually take our first steps based on those plans. So it's interesting because I felt intuitively like this was going to be like a quiet week, but then right off the bat we have this energy of forward momentum with especially things that were either are like creative projects. That's one area of life that the wand suit oversees, but also our ambitions, things that we're passionate about. Those are the main keywords, as I always say, with the suit of wands. So I don't know, you've been planning something, I feel like, up until this point, and it's like this is the week that finally this, as I said, gateway opens up and you're able to actually take those first steps onto that adventure, either maybe literally speaking, but also metaphorically speaking. So let's look at your other cards. I'm very curious to see what they say. We have, and this is a Gravity Falls deck, so I apologize if you don't get the references, but I'll interpret for you if you don't. We have Tyler Cute Biker. He's a character in the show. We have supportive, encouraging, and indecisive. Okay, so I feel like especially, and this is where the kind of the humor comes in using a cartoon deck, but he's a character that literally, like, anytime any other character does something, he like comes up to them and he encourages them and he's like, get him. I don't know, it's really funny. So I kind of feel like that's your spirit guides this week for you, or they're kind of like your Tyler Cute Biker, where they're like, get him, pile 3, get him. I mean, I say it kind of cornily, but you know what I mean? They're encouraging you. They're kind of being your cheerleaders this week. They're telling you, yes, please go forward with these plans you have. It's a really good week to start new adventures or to finally, like, take the first steps with something. You might also find, too, that there's things that happen in this week ahead that are, like, not just from your spirit guides, of course, supporting you, as they always do in the background, but especially this week, right? But things that happen that support you in this adventure, things that give you kind of a thumbs up from the universe, signs that are basically telling you, yes, pile 3, you're doing great this week. Okay, so I'm getting good vibes so far. That's wonderful things. Your second divination is, we have another character from Gravity Falls. We have a time traveler. His name is Blendon Blandon. Vengeful, timely, or uncoordinated. Okay. Interesting. That one is a little bit more on the neutral, maybe slightly negative side, but I'm getting the feeling because of the other cards here, pile 3, that, it's odd. I feel like because of the uncoordinated, even though you technically planned ahead for this thing, the opportunity or the gateway opens up in such a way that you still kind of don't expect that it's going to open up this soon, and that's why it might feel kind of uncoordinated. But, like, because of the timely aspect, and he is literally a character that time travels, right? It's like it's supposed to happen at this very time. It's divine timing, and that's why your spirit guides are being so supportive of you this week, where you might feel like, I know, like, the imagery I'm getting intuitively is you kind of feel like a baby fawn taking your first steps on something. But at the same time, it's like, even if you feel wobbly, they're telling you, like, keep going, get it, right? Or get him, as the character Tyler says. Go for it anyways, even if it feels like you're a fawn taking your first steps. Because even if you feel wobbly at first, pile 3, it's the perfect timing for something anyways, okay? The first steps to an adventure or a new thing don't have to be perfect. They just have to be taken. That's kind of what I'm hearing from your spirit guides, okay? Then from Ask Your Guides, we have, Rescue. Look at that. We have 53 from Runner Guides, Rescue. They're really supportive of you this week. I mean, of course, our spirit guides are always supportive of us, but I think especially they're really close to you this week, pile 3. I would almost say look for a lot of synchronicities or, like, signs that are common from your spirit guides in this coming week. There might be a time where you need to kind of like rely on them this week, or maybe it's that natural sort of uncertain feeling we were talking about with the fawn metaphor. Like, I feel like I'm starting something new. I feel kind of wobbly, or it feels like my opportunity occurred a lot faster than I was expecting, so I kind of feel like I'm caught unawares. So maybe that's where this rescue feeling comes in, where especially your spirit guides will be supporting you in that time, because they know you feel maybe kind of unprepared, even though you technically plan for it, but it's like something happens sooner and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of a plot twist. So that might be where this rescue comes in, is like they're trying to help you or like rescue you from that feeling of, wow, I just got hit with like a plot twist. How do I like mentally process this? But it's like they're there for you. Okay. And then from your surrender card, I don't know why I said the Sue card, but interesting, pile 1 got this too. Surrender the idea you can fix someone, and the text says, it's time for a relationship to shift. It doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. So that can also mean, as a piece of advice, we'll see with what your tarot cards say too, but one piece of advice this coming week, or one potential hurdle, is you might feel an inclination to try to fix someone or trying to like fix something for them. This is a really good week for you to kind of pull back and let them fix themselves, or let them fix their problems. Okay. You might be inclined to say, well, they need my help, or, well, they can't do it without me. Your spirit guides are basically saying, pile 3, just kind of put that feeling on the back burner and let them handle it this week. Whatever that might mean for you specifically, okay? Maybe your tarot cards will give us more of an inkling into what that means, but in general, try to just, same thing I told pile 1, because I got the same card. Focus on your own problems this week. Focus on your own things to fix this week, not so much other people's, okay? So let's grab your tarot cards. Looks like a pretty good week so far, though, pile 3. Your tarot cards might reveal some neutral or maybe even some things to kind of look out for, but looks pretty good to me so far. I'm really happy. All 3 piles today have been, at the very least, neutral, if not a positive kind of week. So looks like good progress for everybody today. I don't know. All right, drum roll. We have first card, the Forge, which is Temperance in most decks. We have the elements of fire and water, 2 opposites meeting. So temperance can mean, like balance or moderation in things, or 2 opposites coming together in some way. That's kind of the beginning of your week. We'll see what comes out too. We'll interpret after everything is drawn. Secondly, we have the Seeker of Spells, which in most decks is the Knight of Wands, which I swear to God, pile 3, if you look, you don't have to, but if you look at my other piles today, and in general, like my readings lately, the Knight of Wands has been coming up so damn much. I don't know why. It's that collective message, I guess. Everybody needs more like Knight of Wands energy. We all need to take more action on our passions and our ambitions, I guess. I don't know, but very common. Every pile got Knight of Wands today, so I don't know. Then we have Suspension reverse, which is the Hangman reversed. Might be a bit of advice for this week. We have our first kind of advice card, or something potentially that we might want to just look out for. Then we have the World reversed. Okay, can also be a piece of advice. Bit of a prediction card too. And then last but not least, let's hope it's a good one. Cross your fingers. We have the Wise Woman, or the High Priestess reversed. Okay, so I will say this. I am seeing kind of that introverted energy I was telling you about at the very beginning, where I said the first keyword that came to my mind intuitively before I even hit the record button was the word quiet for your week ahead, pile 3. We do, of course, have that action going on here with the 3 of Wands. We do have this thing that pops up unexpectedly that you're like, oh man, I wasn't expecting to go forward with that, but okay, perfect opportunity. Let's keep going forward. Let's take advantage of that thing that opens up to us, that doorway, right? But I do see a lot of like calmer energy at the same time. So I don't really see it as like a big giant adventure starting. It's more kind of like maybe just the first step, or the gateway or the door to the first step of enacting those plans is what opens up to you. Okay. In which case, it's more kind of a quiet start to your adventure. It's not a very loud thing. It's kind of a quiet first step. Because we do have more quiet cards in terms of like Suspension, or like the Hangman is kind of a quiet card, or Temperance especially too. And even too, especially like the High Priestess, I always kind of see as a more quiet card because of what her energy means. Nothing majorly bad We don't have, a Five of Pentacles. We don't have a Tower card, okay, which is great in terms of predictions, right? I do see it kind of more as generally like a neutral week. Calm, neutral, nothing really extensively big blessings happening, but nothing really bad either. It's kind of just a nice stable week. In the very beginning, so this is kind of like a timeline, the way I read like week ahead readings with my 5-card spread. In the very beginning, I would say, if you're watching this the Sunday it's uploaded, it would be like your Monday or first to second day of whatever day you watch this week ahead reading. My readings are always timeless. You can watch them anytime, but whatever is the first to second day of your week ahead, you have the Temperance card, the Forge, right? And specifically this particular Temperance card, as we say, I'll kind of hold it up here so you can see it better. I think they're probably dwarfs, right? They're working together in a blacksmith shop. They're forging things. They're working hard on things. So it actually kind of gives me a little bit of Eight of Pentacles energy in terms of like them just being hard at work, just kind of nose to the grindstone. Things are as they're supposed to be or as they usually are. So in the beginning of the week, kind of expect things to be just neutral. Business as usual is a really good phrase to use, especially because Temperance, Templey, that's not even a word. I don't know why that came out. Apparently I can't talk today, pile 3. Because temperance usually means moderation and balance. So things are just kind of neutral. They're kind of just smooth and gliding along with the beginning of the week, which is a great news to hear. That's kind of that quiet energy I was talking about at the very beginning. However, I think this is where the adventure starts for you. This is where this 3 of Wands comes in, where it feels too fast, but you're encouraged to go forward with this opportunity anyways, because you have that Knight or the Seeker of Spells / Wands, maybe second to third day of the week ahead. Okay, maybe slightly into the 4th day. Because the Knight of Wands, my friends, is usually when we take action on something that we have been either passionate or ambitious about, or is like a creative project too. That's another area that the Wand suit and tarot covers, as I explain in my readings usually. And it's interesting because this particular Knight of Wands, she's actually coming forward and she's like, oh, I finally found this flower, this thing I've been seeking. Hence she's a seeker, right? So I feel like one of the reasons why this gateway opens up to you faster than you expect with enacting these plans is because just almost by chance, although I think it's really divine timing because of the timing from London Blandon, right? It's like you find the right tool or like the exact out of the blue opportunity for this thing. You stumble upon it and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I was looking for. Okay, just like a witch might, she's been looking for this rare flower and she's like, I need this rare flower to create this perfect potion. And it's like you in this week, you're like, okay, I've had the plans for the potion, but then all of a sudden I'm walking along, and I find that flower and it's just staring me smack in the face. And I'm like, okay, I have to take advantage of this opportunity, even if I feel like it's too fast. Because the Knight of Wands is, okay, I take action based on the thing that I've been passionate about or I've been trying to create. Okay, so second into like the 3rd, 4th day of the week, that's when that opportunity comes along for you, pile 3, in terms of this plan you've had. Okay, so look for it about that time. Now, in the very middle of the week, we have an advice card. We're getting into kind of the advice cards. This is where things get a bit neutral, and I think it's probably because a lot of what your middle to the end of the week will be is revolving around this new adventure or this thing that you've been planning that this opportunity comes along for. That's why it's very advice heavy at the end of the week here. Suspension, or the Hangman reversed, can mean that one of the major themes of the week, because I also see the middle card as the heart of the matter in my 5-card spread, is to don't be afraid to look at things from different perspectives. Also, it can be a bit of a piece of advice, because sometimes in terms of the hangman, a reversed hangman can mean we're making ourselves to be a bit of a martyr. I don't really see that too much for your interpretation though, pile 3. I think this is more of like the open-mindedness piece of advice aspect of the hanged man, okay? So I don't know why. And I don't know what for. But in the middle of the week, there's something you're going to have to be open-minded about. Maybe it is like literally this adventure thing, this new gateway coming forward. It just requires you to be open-minded to when the timing comes forward. You might not be ready, but they're saying be open-minded. We're cheering you on to just go with the flow, go with it when the time comes. Okay, just hit the ground running. go at it full, no holds barred. Okay. Keep that open-mindedness. You also have some advice here in the, I'm sorry. Rewind a little bit. I just remember this too. With the hangman too, as in terms of like a prediction reversed in the middle of the week, that can also mean that we have been in suspension, like the guys in Amber for a while, and then it's like things really once again start flowing again. It's like, okay, now we're no longer kind of held in suspense, or we're no longer suspended in some way. Okay. So that might also be that energy too of that adventure starting is like kind of more into the middle of the week as well. It's like things just really start flowing. It's kind of like that, it was kind of compared to like a spring thaw. Things have been frozen for a while, then the sun comes out, things warm up, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, there comes the flooding of the water in the spring. Okay, it's like that feeling, all right? But remember that open-mindedness advice. That is one piece of advice. Then we have in towards like the end of the week, maybe 4th to 6th day or so, the world reversed here with the white heart. And the world reversed can be a piece of advice that we're having some trouble letting go of the old, and that it's okay to close chapters in our lives, let go of the old, to welcome in new adventures. Because literally, and it's very specific to this deck too, love this deck because it's kind of almost a story unfolds over every single card. In the very beginning, we had the Fool, which also has the white heart on it, okay? And it's like him entering the forest. But then at the very end, we have the World, and it's like him exiting the forest, and now the bushes part, the foliage clears, and there's like this whole new path that's very clear ahead of us, okay? Reversed, however, pile 3, it can mean that we're at that precipice, we're at that cusp of closing one chapter and opening another, but we're still having trouble like looking back at the forest and not seeing, hey, look at this wide open world in front of us. Let go of the forest, go forth into where things are clearer, okay? So you might have maybe some sluggishness in terms of like letting go of the old as you embark on this new thing, or this plans going forward that you didn't expect to happen as soon as it did. And that's okay. It's just that, you know, it almost reminds me of, and I don't know why this is coming up, maybe some of you do resonate well with Studio Ghibli movies, but you remember if you've watched the Spirited Away, probably his most famous movie, especially in the West, right? In the very end, the character Chihiro, she is leaving the spirit world, right? And she is going back to the human world. That's kind of was her main goal in terms of the entire story. And at the very end, another character, his name is Haku, he tells her, don't look back until you've crossed the river, or like you're on the other side back in the human world. Like, don't look back at all. I don't know why he tells her that. Probably it's symbolic of, you know, don't let the past weigh you down. Just keep looking forward and moving forward, even if change is scary. Because that was another theme in that story with Spirited Away. She was afraid of change and a new adventure because she was moving to a new place with her parents. Okay, so I don't know, maybe watch Spirited Away this week if you haven't already seen it. Really good movie, great animation, love Studio Ghibli, of course. But what I say when I bring up the wide world, or the world reversed with that Chihiro metaphor, is that it's like you're like Chihiro looking back a little bit prematurely. You still are looking back when you're not supposed to at that point in your week. So at that point in your week, be like Chihiro is in the movie and just keep looking forward. Don't look back. Don't be afraid to kind of let things go in the past behind you. Okay? Change is scary. I know new adventures are scary, pile 3, but it's okay to look forward and kind of leave things behind, all right? That's another piece of advice. Or watch Spirited Away, that works too. Great movie, recommend it. Great time. And then at the very end, we have the wise woman, or the high priestess reversed at the very end of your week, pile 3. That can be a piece of advice to trust your intuition as well. You might also be struggling with trusting your intuition. I think this is why your spirit guides are also very close to you this week. We have, you know, literally like the cheerleader character, right? He literally cheerleads everybody in the show with Tyler. And then rescue too, is because your spirit guides kind of anticipate that you're going to have some of these struggles towards the end of the week with everything that's changing and going on that's new. But they're telling you, like, don't discount your intuition here, pile 3. It's like your intuition will guide you, right? So will your spirit guides too. But a high priestess reversed can indicate that we're having some issues with trusting what our gut tells us, okay? So if there's any really like overarching piece of advice for this week ahead, it's to trust your gut. Don't look back. And also be open-minded to the new. And don't be afraid to take the step into the new. Don't be afraid to take a step into the future. And, you know, it doesn't even mean like that this new step into the future has to be this really giant thing. Because remember what I said at the very beginning? I was like, I feel like this week is going to be quite quiet for you. Even if it's a lot of movement, it's like a quiet start to a new adventure. Okay. Just, if you feel overwhelmed, remember that your spirit guides are with you very closely this week. We have Rescue and the cheerleader character, right? But also remember that you know the way intuitively and inherently within yourself. You don't have to second guess your direction because you already planned for it, pile 3. You already know where you're going. A 3 of Wands is a character that, or a person that has already made the plans. They don't have to worry about where they're going because they already know that they've charted it out. So why would they doubt their plans? Why would they doubt their intuition? Go forth boldly. Don't be afraid to be a Knight of Wands and take action towards what it is that makes you feel ambitious, that makes you feel alive and passionate, or a creative project too. That might be another interpretation, as I said, with Wands being so prominent too. Okay? So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I did do like an extra little card or 2 or 3 cards for each pile today at the very end. I don't actually have any extra questions for you, but I think just for fun, I want to draw 1 card of like a blessing coming in your week ahead, pile 3. So let's just do that really quick here at the end. So spirit guides, 1 card. What's, you know, either a big or minor blessing coming for pile 3 this week? Something for them to look forward to, because we had a lot of advice, but let's cap off with like a little blessing reading, okay? We have the Hermit reversed. Okay, something coming out of its shell. It could mean that you have an opportunity coming along this week for more socialization, like a hermit literally coming out of their cave, okay? It can also mean, too, that something is, like, coming to light, or, like, something is coming out of its shell, or maybe even a person that you have wanted to come out of their shell more. And finally this week, it's like, oh, okay, now they're out of the cave. It can also represent a situation where we've been kind of ruminating on something. Things have been quiet. Speaking of that keyword, right? And it's like, finally, we have been in this cave of solitude, thinking, okay? And then in that cave, in that solitude, we've gained this wisdom. And then in the Hermit being reversed, it's like we come out of the cave and we share our wisdom with the world, okay? So what that can mean is, too, is that a minor blessing this week might also be that you find the answer for something that you've been ruminating on a lot lately in quiet and solitude. So it could be either like a social event coming up that's really positive, right? Opportunity for that. Someone coming out of their shell, or something coming out of its shell that you've wanted it to, but also too, it can mean that this is a prediction of your rumination, your kind of thinking in solitude paying off in some way too. Okay? So beautiful week. Nothing majorly bad. Looks like a pretty neutral week, just a lot of new adventure energy coming in, which is exciting. Even if we're kind of scared, your spirit guides are with you. Remember that. All right. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition. Don't look back. Look towards the future. Okay. That was a reading for today, my wonderful pile 3. Of course, I hope, most of all, you liked it. It helped you. It resonated with your situation. And if so, you know all the good old YouTube stuff I say at the end. You know, like, comment, subscribe. You know how it works. But thank you so much if you choose to do one of those things, if not all 3 or more. And as we say in our traditional Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful well, I guess I can't talk today. I was going to say wonderful rest of your day and your next week ahead, but I was going to say the next of your day. You know what I meant. Wonderful rest of your day. Wonderful week ahead, of course, too. When I'm not misspeaking or stuttering. And I hope to see you in the next reading, pile 3. Okay? Bye.